Landing complete. Takeoff complete. Shields hit.
So this is a recreational class platform. Landing pad with showcase, landing pad with lounge. Yeah, whenever you have the server in a single digits like this, the NPCs tend to not do very much. Okay, time to go. Taking injuries in this game really sucks, so you want to try to avoid that wherever possible. Hello. Yeah, server's waking up. Or a mission just procced. One Orison, there is a prospect point now, and this is the location of the new SkyBunkers. You can just quantum right over to it. I would not slow boat over there with your conventional thrusters. I would not do that. I would QT over. And they are obviously a big part of it. But this is Prospect Point. So it's a whole new stack of locations for you to explore. I'll be honest with you, as I understand it, they are actually here for missions. But still, they're worth exploring, even if you don't have a mission over here. One of the nice things about this is it finally is starting to expand Orison past Orison. So it's kind of like less thinking of it as just Orison and more of what is Crusader? How is Crusader? You know, the actual gas giant that we're on. Orison's just a city on it. So it's interesting to see this like new place. You'll notice we are not in Armistice here. This is designed for combat.
Landing gear deployed. Landing complete. Takeoff complete.
I just feel like this has some type of mechanized motion to it. Like these are bunker doors or an elevator system, but I just can't see what the deal is. I look over there and I see that other F8C. I did lock onto a Drake Cutlass, although they could be NPC products. Now, on the mission areas that were added for Orison, on the fight for Orison versus the pirates and such, and Orison's defenses had to defend it and such, and the pirates had jamming technologies and all sorts of unique things. There was ships that were inside of the area, and they basically had AA turrets that would fire missiles at you and other such, and would not let you get anywhere near the landing sites. You had to take a shuttle in, and then you went from an armistice zone where the shuttle was, and then when you got there, it was a free-for-all. And people could join the pirates, people could join the good guys, and fight for Orison. This is giving me vibes of that, but I don't see a defensive area around it. And don't know. A lot of this just seems like set dressing, to be honest, for something very interesting. Like, it's almost giving me like 2142 Titan vibes. That's a good thing. I really, really miss 2142. In that game, there was 2 floating Titans. Usually the server admins would lock them because if you move them, they would sometimes break the server if both of them moved at the same time. And players would duel over the enemy Titans. You have to fight through the shields and then fight to destroy the Titan by blowing up 4 control stations, and then the reactor itself. Sorry about the breathing, by the way. If I had to deal with NPCs or players, it at least gives me some defense on my head with the helmet on. And also, if I run into a no air pocket, that will help with that as well. So here's a marked garage with blue markings that say Bay 1. I can hear something flying around. Looks like there's another platform up there to explore. Can't tell if that's a player or an NPC. I am on the 3.21 PTU. That looks like a player doing crazy player things. Sorry once again about the breathing. I'm just trying to get back to that ship before my options are severely limited.
Takeoff complete.
So, it seems like the Avenger's a decent person. Or an NPC, but doesn't seem like an NPC. Let's explore this tower next. I love the tusks on the front. They allow me to tell what visually immediately if I have my landing gears out or not. And I feel like I'm locked into like a real combat vessel. It's hard to describe, but it feels like it's like getting your game face on or something, or putting your helmet or your shin guards on for a game or something.
Landing complete.
So the collider is telling me that there is something here. That's a good test, by the way, if you ever find yourself exploring these pads like this. Sometimes the best trick in the world is just landing and staying within the vehicle. And if you have two people, you have a huge advantage. You can basically open the back door of like a Cutlass or something like that, or the newer C1s or A1s, some like ship like that with a nice, or the Lancers, any of those. You don't need some giant ship. You just need something basic like that. Avenger would do the job to a certain extent, as long as you don't shift around too much. And once you get close, your buddy hops out of a seat, runs over to the back, and you can go through that door and just let the ship land first. Once the ship makes positive contact, then you step off the back. And if anything gets weird or wonky or whatever, you just run back onto the ship. And if you start falling, the ship may be able to catch you. May. But, yeah. Sometimes that's not possible. It's a nice big cargo area here. Once again, I can't help but think this is just all set dressing for combat. This looks like a nice area for those Atlas barges. That'd be a fun thing to fight over. That would maybe land right there. I really love the roll acceleration and the booster. Just the insane afterburner of this thing. It's just so fast. It really brings up some interesting topics, like what did the Van Duel present to besides the ramming attacks that the F-8C helps with? Did the F-8A series benefits from the F-8A's design? Besides the ramming attacks, what was the other things? And clearly, there was something to do with speed. sublight speed, like speed below quantum, that clearly was important for the UEE Navy. Because this thing is insanely overkill on the main thrusters in straight line. I'm getting locked up. What's going on? Is that damn Avenger Titan again? What do you want, dude? Server chat's right now talking about. Ooh, Crusader security controlled area. Guess this is one of the more finished stations.
Shields hit.
Okay, so if you fly directly over them, they get mad. Okay. But the fun thing about Orison's defenses, as you just witnessed me do, they can't attack below. Okay. This is clearly a sky fortress. Apologies about all the craziness. Recreation class platform, indeed. It is extremely angry at me. Okay, I gotta dip back below. Oh, that's some actionable fire right there. This is also one of the problems, I think, for a lot of folks when I try to explain the ground combat issues. Oh, shucks. I gotta get away. They're actually shooting missiles at me. But this is what I was trying to explain to people about ground combat, is that you have these problems of plain and simple. Is this Cuddy Red seriously trying to chase me? Am I, dude? I really don't feel like taking down a fish in a barrel, so to speak. But if this ship bothers to come all the way over here and chase me, I'm going to take it down. So anyway, ground attack stuff. So a lot of people have expressed interest in Ballista and Centurions. And one of the problems with the Ballista and Centurion is, plain and simple, it is not, they're not that great. what you have to remember is that they're more of just a deterrent system. Like you just saw me do, you can just go out of their angles of fire, and it may not be this simple as like a platform in the space of a gas giant, but at an outpost even, there will be mountains and there will be valleys and there will be these terrain deformations that a ship like mine can take advantage of and just sulk behind and just deal with you when I can. Like literally make you waste the 2 size 7 missiles on a ballista, or make a Centurion waste a lot of its ammunition and constantly drift out of its range and then come back. So I think that that's one of the things you've got to remember is that I'm just looking in chat to see if anybody's trying to like duel me or something goofy or whatever over here, or whatever's going on. I still don't quite understand what the heck's going on over here. But one of the things to remember is those ships are more meant for like your NPCs to use. And in theory, players will use them like in an assault. Like for a short period of time, those will be critical assets. But as a group, maybe 2 ballista covering 3 Nova or 2 storms and a Nova or something, tanks rocking into an enemy outpost and trying to take it, or hold an outpost, or reinforce an outpost. Like, yes, they have their place, but all of those things I just detailed mean that there's going to be an infrastructure in place of players that will keep resupplying you with extra missiles. There will be other vehicles that they can't just keep angle on. There's a lot to think about there. If you're by yourself in one of these vehicles, you're not going to do very well against enemy fighters, especially high performance ones. Especially when they have a pair of size 2 shields and some serious armor on board, or at least redundant systems, like even the Vanguards, for example. You can pop like an entire system off of them, entire power plant you can knock offline, and they'll still just fly around like nothing happened. So every ship has a bunch of nuances that you have to overwhelm and figure out and everything else, and they got flares and chaff. I don't even need to deploy flares and chaff this go around in order to deploy to avoid those missiles, because I have so much speed and so much angle, and I could throw myself underneath and on top of the towers and constantly make the towers have to work overtime around those big buildings they themselves have built on those recreational class platforms. That ironically, the recreational class platform is extremely well armed. But the turrets are placed in such obnoxious places on the side of skyscrapers that they can't hit the other side of the freaking skyscraper. And you won't have skyscrapers at an outpost, as far as we know. Maybe a refinery tower with a gantry, maybe halfway up or something like that on some of the pictures. But you won't have a lot of luxuries like they do here. So just bear that in the back of your mind, that you're going to want to have multiple, probably bought in-game ground vehicles that are all sitting there with NPCs running them. Or the idea being it's a combination of NPCs manning those vehicles and turrets, or bladed turrets that the outpost itself are running as well. And then on top of all that, then a couple players. And those players will probably be jumping in fighters. They'll be jumping in larger ships. They will be jumping in some ground vehicles when it's critical to do so and it makes sense to do so to support the effort of defense or attack. So just bear that in the back of your mind, that like whenever you look at the ballista or the Centurion, they are extremely expensive. And I am a little bit somebody might call me out on this. I'm just going to say it. I have one of the Atlas platform vehicles, and the chassis I have is the Spartan. And the goal there is that I'm able to test different size ships to see if they'll fit a large class vehicle. So yes, it doesn't have a tank turret and it doesn't have a big missile package on the back, but at least it gives me like a standardized form-fitting vehicle that I can point at and go, look, it can fit this large vehicle. Your mileage may vary with your Nova or your Centurion or your Ballista, but you have a chance if this can fit. If this chassis can fit in this configuration, you've got a pretty good chance. So it's kind of like my standardized testing platform. So I do have a Ursa, and I do have a Spartan, Atlas Spartan, for my large and my medium testing of vehicles. And I do have a Cyclone MT, I think, too, still. And, of course, the PTV. And some speeder bikes. So every single level of the range. but I'm using them for testing. I'm using them for fun. And if you're using them for fun or testing, great. But if you're using them to actually like, this is going to be a big part of my play style, you should rapidly reevaluate that, especially if you don't always have a second player. Now, if you have a player too that's in your same time zone, good friend of yours, good org mate, etc., that like loves being a gunner, there are some folks like that. We have one in our org. It's pretty awesome to have. It's a nice blessing. If you have that type of situation, great. Don't listen to me, except for the fact that I told you, just remember you're only one part of a bigger package of vehicles that will do attack, defense, etc., logistics, etc. Now, like I said, if you don't have that specific package of things, then I would highly recommend you carefully reevaluate your ground vehicle game. Fortunately, it's an easy fix. You can CCU to any ship you dang well please. Now, once again, if they bring you joy and happiness and fun, great, good for you. But if you are finding yourself where you're not using them for a year straight, you should carefully think that through. Here we go again. Getting radar locked. Single missile that fell off. This is just getting sad now. They're not even getting close for me to bother to waste flares and chaff. So, if you didn't know that, certain missiles use EM and certain missiles use IR. And usually, if you want to live, you spam both. If you look, I only have 2 noise, which is your chaff, and I have 46 decoys, which is my IR defense. So noise is EM, decoy is IR.
Landing complete. Takeoff complete. Shields hit.
So this is a recreational class platform. Landing pad with showcase, landing pad with lounge. They have an OZA as well. So they have the food place, Imperial Cuisine. One of my favorite videos I did. And the Voyager Bar. Let's see how much of this actually is done. Let's see. So we are right near Rec H. Okay. It's a pretty rough place. Sweet greens. This is the new the front sight's a piece of welding, like electrical wire all tied up. This is the new pump shotgun thing from our friends over in Pyro. Oh goodness gracious! There's some weird defenses that are stuttering in and out of existence. So yeah, really interesting gun. This is the CitizenCon. One of the goodie bag rewards that's in game now. Well, it's definitely an OZA. It's got some weird effects going on from the effects there when you're walking, but this is without a doubt an OZA. It's the same one that we've seen in the other combat areas. And if I remember right. Yeah. Okay, it's not all lootable yet. But yeah, it's actually quite nice. I mean, sorry about the weird lighting effects. No real way around that. I'm sure that'll be fixed, but the rest of it, on the other hand, OZA's OZA. It's quite a beautiful place. If I remember right, there's loot gates in the back, at least to the other one. No, they're right here. Up there is one. There we go, some team bars and water. Sorry about the noise. Only the finest cuisine at OZA. So there we go. So I have to expect them to see a gold license for the F8A. And this is the events this weekend. They're saying that there is devs running around with platinum licenses actually on the PTU. But I didn't hear anything about the gold licenses. I was curious if they added them to the loot table or not. Really wish we had rappelling and at least some parachutes. I know there won't be jetpacks for a long time, but rappelling and parachutes would be most welcome. It's actually pretty cool. I mean, honestly, I think a lot of people would screw this up and like wander through the sands. This is actually a really nice touch. This entry point looks nicer than the one that's on the other location. And this outdoor eating area is actually connected. It's nice. It's actually quite nice. Gotta give a nod to the team. So the elevator was back where the VIP section is in the other location. But on the other one, there was not like this. So it is what it is. Okay. So that was OZA. And Voyager Bar might be next. And there is a shuttle service, interestingly, I guess to connect the different ones. Sometimes that actually does work in these combat areas. Although I don't know if it'll work this early. No one is supposed to be here. No one is supposed to be here. Looks like there's multiple Voyager bars. There's multiple OCA Nia cuisines. Okay, so they stuffed this place up with multiple finished assets they had. It's a fitness place on B. That's kind of neat. So all the way in the back or left. Landing pads with lounges. There's an office on C. Looks like most of the new stuff's on the back left corner. And then the shuttle service is on G. Let's go take a look at G real quick and see where those shuttles can take you. Goes to Dunlow, right up there. Well, Dunlow specifically. Crusader has his history too. A lot of people think Hurston Dynamics is like super stuffy. But in all actuality, Crusader has a long history too. I mean, it's not necessarily like as deep and as really obnoxious as the way Hurston celebrates things. But I mean, there is things that I'd love these coins. Yeah, the Anvil Aerospace, poker chips. Oh man, that's awesome. Should take those. But yeah, a lot of people think like the only game in town was Hurston Hurston Dynamics when it comes to the game of I want to have this deep lore just because they put it on their walls. But if you really look around at Crusader and you actually see what they do, not just what they say, they're not so fuzzy wuzzy clean as they make it out to be. I would argue Hurston Dynamics just at least is more honest on the tin exactly of what they are and what they're about and what they expect from you. Crusader talks of humanitarian services and acting as civilian logistics. And then they build the biggest bomb trucks that are designed to do dumb bombing that the entire verse has. The A1 and the A2. You know, these aren't that clean of things. And not only that, I mean, the A2 is a gunship, not just a bomber, not just a massive bomber. I wish on these elevators it marks somewhere which structure you're in, because I bothered to look on the map, and I'm looking for I and H and C. I've got these nut letters in my head, and I don't know where I'm at. Okay, apparently I'm already on the upper floor, so let's try ground floor. I have a feeling I'm not going to go very far. I'm always worried about these elevators because they're like kill zones. If there is NPCs or players that are just camping, they hear that noise of that elevator and they got the jump on you. I do like these "You Are Here" logo things. So let's take a look. The more I'm spending time here, the less I'm expecting NPC resistance anyway. Player could just wander in and cause trouble for me, but I'm feeling pretty confident I'm going to be left alone from the NPCs anyway. This is set up for defensive, by the way. You can see there should be, in normal structures, there would be multiple staircases that lead in and out of this building. But instead, they've created pits of death all around the sides here with not even a railing. And yet they have a railing up there. A nice defensive thing, and I'm betting that has at least some weapon resistance on that plexiglass or whatever space age clear material they're using. So right there is like, whether it's intended to be or not, it's like an excellent defensive position to hold this entire side of the structure. Dot is kindly telling me it's really difficult to get inside this building. So trying to charge in here from one of these big fields where you actually can land properly without going to a rooftop is going to be hard. You got to come across a choke point. You got to, while people are down doing this to you the entire time. And then this thing. And mind you, your respawn's back at the best. At best, it's back on that out on that grass, and that's if you can get a vehicle in there, a ship like an 890 or something in there. That's a big if. Okay, this is ground floor again. So most of the action's on the rooftops for these. Now OZA on the other ones, on the ground, the one I remember. Or it might be an upper floor, but it's like right there. It's on the ground towards where you can access. Because most of these, it's just combat zones, smaller bars, smaller terrace areas that act as like choke points and wide open spaces to land and fight over for beachheads and stuff. Should be fun. I mean, I should have led with that. It's gonna be fun. It's not like I'm negative about these things. It's just, I mean, coming off these elevators where everyone knows you're gonna be coming from. I can just picture one guy with a grenade launcher just sitting here making everyone's lives a living heck trying to get in and out of those things. It's a pretty cool thing to fight over. The sound system stage here. The big old stage. I wish you could turn these on. That'd be really chill. Some roadie tools and some... Oh, here's a monster. What the heck? Thank goodness the server lag is pretty high right now. Because they didn't even fight back. Yeah, look at the server FPS. Yeah, whenever you have the server in a single digits like this, the NPCs tend to not do very much. Okay, time to go. Notice the server FPS is going up to like 8, 7, 8, 9. You start seeing those higher level thoughts that the NPCs are doing. They're actually starting to plan slightly. They're actually aiming at you a little bit, even taking some shots. Taking injuries in this game really sucks. So you want to try to avoid that wherever possible. Hello. Yeah, server's waking up. Or a mission just procced. One or the other. Goodness gracious. See, even if I wanted to, I can't combat log here because I'm concerned about anybody who has an angle from up there. NPCs can and will cheat. That's probably as good as it's gonna get. Screw it. Alright, that's it for me.